Great circuit, unpredictable weather conditions, a quite incredible grid. Two Ferraris on the front. The two World Championship contenders, Damon Hill and Michael Schumacher, are in 8th and 16th places. A wonderful recipe, I think, for an exciting race. Hakkinen tries to get past Berger, who blocks him, but Alesi takes the lead and Johnny Herbert moves ahead of Gerhard Berger. So it's Alesi, Herbert, Gerhard Berger, Mika Hakkinen in 4th place, and praise be, they are all round La Source first. Now into Eau Rouge, and Herbert is coming right up alongside Alesi, who holds the lead. And now Radion, which they come over the crest, and a climb now at 185 miles an hour up to the right, left at Les Combes, and Berger is coming up alongside Johnny Herbert and taking second position. Is he? No, he's not. Herbert challenging, and the Williams is right up behind now, and Johnny Herbert is through in the lead. Johnny Herbert leads the Belgian Grand Prix as he led the British Grand Prix at Silverstone. So it's Herbert, Alesi, Berger shutting the door on Mika Hakkinen, who has got David Coulthard in 5th position right behind him. And Damon Hill has come up from 8th to 6th already on this, the first lap. And here's a replay of Johnny Herbert and Jean Alesi.
And that was a fantastic outbraking manoeuvre from Johnny Herbert. He was round the outside of Jean Alesi, and he's a really tough customer.
Johnny Herbert leads again at the end of the first lap, obviously having made the fastest lap so far. Then the two Ferraris, and Michael Schumacher carves past Rubens Barrichello. Schumacher is now up from 16th to 12th, and Hakkinen has spun. Mika Hakkinen has spun, and he's got to wait for everybody to go past. He will rejoin last. We're with him now. Mika Hakkinen, who went out so early in Hungary, is out of the race. The first retirement in Hungary lasted 4 laps. Here he hasn't lasted 2. And Alesi is challenging. Mika Hakkinen shaking his head sadly. And Jean Alesi takes the lead from Johnny Herbert. Wow, action all the way already, and this is only lap 2. We've still got another 42 to go as Gerhard Berger shapes up to make it a Ferrari first and second by passing Herbert's Benetton.
Let's watch Alesi now coming up the inside of Johnny Herbert there, just 6 inches between them. Wonderful outbraking there from Jean Alesi. Now there is Hakkinen, he's on his own. He comes and he just spins it on his own. Well, that's a fundamental mistake there. David Coulthard being very lucky not to come across and get hit by Hakkinen. One wonders whether or not he had some kind of transmission problem, but on the face of it, that looks like a driving error.
And if that rain comes, it'll mean they'll have to stop and change from slick, smoothly treaded tyres to heavy, wet weather tyres. Damon Hill right up behind his teammate now. Hill in 5th position, Coulthard is in 4th position, and Coulthard going through and taking the Ferrari, and he does it. David Coulthard, who has yet to win a Grand Prix, and this is his 19th Grand Prix in his career, moves up ahead of Gerhard Berger. David Coulthard goes through on the inside and takes Gerhard Berger's Ferrari at La Source.
And that looks like Berger. Hill's got past Gerhard Berger. That's what happened there. Hill is now right on the trail of Coulthard, and that, to me, makes it look pretty clear that Gerhard Berger is running half a tank of fuel in that Ferrari. He's going to run a one-stop strategy, and that'll mean stopping round about lap 21, lap 22. Some great racing we're seeing here today.
There is Damon Hill, who is now in 4th position. Into the pits comes Jean Alesi. Race leader Jean Alesi in. And that means to say that Johnny Herbert is back in the lead with David Coulthard in 2nd place, who has just made the fastest lap of the race. 1 minute 55.790 seconds. New tyres and wheels for Alesi, but I'm sure it's more than that. And as you can see, there is Alesi's Ferrari and Hakkinen's McLaren out of the race. And it's beginning to rain. This is what we expected to happen. It will doubtless transform the race because they're going to have to come in. But meantime, David Coulthard is giving Johnny Herbert a very, very hard time.
We're now with Michael Schumacher following Eddie Irvine. Schumacher himself may well have a go up the inside of Eddie Irvine into this hairpin, but there goes, and Johnny Herbert closes the door firmly. David Coulthard, though, is all over the back of Herbert. It's only a matter of time before Coulthard gets by. Coulthard set the fastest lap of the race so far, and he may well do it. He's now going through this 170 miles an hour Eau Rouge corner, up through Radion. He's going to get into the toe behind Herbert on this long straight, and into the next right-hander is going to be Coulthard's best overtaking opportunity. He'll probably move to the right-hand side. He goes to the left because Herbert blocks the inside, but can he go around the outside? No, he doesn't. And Herbert's overdone it. Herbert's brake too late. Herbert's brake too late there.
Magnificent recovery by Johnny Herbert, but up into second place as Coulthard takes the lead goes Damon Hill, and Michael Schumacher in 7th place behind Eddie Irvine, who's now 6th. He's only 7 seconds behind the race leader, who is now David Coulthard.
This is the view that we look from the front of Herbert's car as he spins around on the grass, bouncing across, fortunately back, finding some tarmac again to resume the race.
Johnny Herbert now has got Gerhard Berger tucked up behind him. Only one Ferrari left in the race. A spin again. Johnny Herbert has spins and stops Mark Blundell dead in his tracks. Through goes Olivier Panis, and Herbert has slipped down again. I don't know if there's a bit of dampness on the track there, but that's twice in one lap that Herbert has spun. And look at Schumacher coming up through the field now, because Michael Schumacher is up into 5th position.
Let's listen to Eddie Irvine through this flat-out 180 miles an hour. Well, I think he had a little bit of a feather, as we call it, and that means just easing off the throttle, and Schumacher gets by, perhaps as a result.
Schumacher goes through and takes that 4th position. Now, for the record, Schumacher was nearly 20 seconds behind David Coulthard. Coulthard going much slower. David Coulthard touring. Lap 14, David Coulthard touring, and past him goes the Ferrari. Oh my goodness, it looks as though Coulthard is out of the race, in which case Hill is now leading it. There's Berger, and yes, you can see the readout on the dashboard, and David Coulthard tours, having led the race, and retires on lap 14, having driven an absolutely superb Belgian Grand Prix. Here, coming towards us, is Gerhard Berger with Michael Schumacher challenging. Fantastic drive by Schumacher. He started 16th. He's now up to 3rd. It's not going to be very much longer, I suspect. Or maybe I'm wrong. Look at the way Schumacher eases out the gap. Into the pit lane to make his stop comes race leader Damon Hill. Damon Hill on lap 15. Came in very slowly, of course. It's a 75 mile an hour speed limit in the pit lane. All okay so far. Nice clean stop. 10 seconds. So it's about 80 litres of fuel. And there's Berger coming in from 3rd. Irvine coming in from 4th. Schumacher leading with that stop of Damon Hill having depressed him. And there is Hill in the background. Damon Hill will be retaking the lead. I'm looking across the track to see the Williams go through. It's done so. Damon Hill retakes the lead as Michael Schumacher stops on the end of lap 18. Let's see how long it takes. It took about 10 seconds for the Williams. It's taken 9.2 for Michael Schumacher. So Schumacher will be rejoining in 2nd position on lap 19. Hill nearly 15 seconds now ahead of Schumacher as Berger slows and is past now. Is this the 2nd Ferrari going out? Gerhard Berger is in trouble. Up comes his hand, and John Todt now will be distraught. This is the 2nd Ferrari retirement in the Belgian Grand Prix coming up. Damon Hill in now. Is this going to be the change to wet weather tyres? It could be superlative timing. Lap 21. Look at the moisture glistening on Damon Hill's tread, or lack of tread. It's a slick cover. Oh, let's have a look. And that's one of the Pacifics out of the race. I don't know whether it is Lavargi or whether it's Montemini, but there's a retirement there. Here's Schumacher. Now you can see, look at the water on the track. Schumacher's got a major problem, and that is Damon Hill. Now, is he on wets? Yes, he is. Damon Hill has got the right tyres, Schumacher's got the wrong tyres, and I confidently predict that Schumacher will be passed by Damon Hill probably on this lap. And what's happened there? They're all pouring in now, but I'm just trying to work out what that smoke's all about. They're all pouring in, and a spin. Now that, of course, is Max Papis, and he's been caught out, and there's going to be a lot of others caught out too. This is a classic situation. Who's got the right tyres? Well, it looks to me as though Damon Hill has here. See, he's got more grip as Schumacher slides out of La Source, and it's going to be when they come up to Les Combes when the braking is called for, but Hill could pull out of the slipstream of Michael Schumacher's Benetton and take the lead at the Belgian Grand Prix, if not sooner. He's looking for a way past. Schumacher blocks his path. Now, this is the chance for Damon Hill. This is where I said, but Schumacher's going to try and cut him off. Hill is alongside him and goes through. No! Schumacher's still marginally ahead. Pushes Damon Hill sideways, retaining his line.
Well, I must say, I'm very surprised that Damon Hill didn't outbrake Michael Schumacher. Clearly the track is wet. Hill's the one on the grippier wet tyre. Schumacher is tiptoeing around on slicks. Let's have another look there. Here we come. Hill's up the inside. Hill's got the line for the corner too, but Schumacher brakes desperately late, doesn't lose control of the car, bravely goes around the outside of Hill. He's on slicks in the wet and keeps ahead. So superb driving from Michael Schumacher, but what we're seeing, either from Schumacher or the team, and almost certainly a combination of the both, it's gambling on the weather. We've got Williams and Damon Hill who've decided that it's best to come in, put the right tyres on for the current prevailing conditions, whilst we've got Benetton who are taking the view, and again Hill goes round the outside. Hill's trying the outside. Schumacher is driving very precisely, making Damon Hill really work. If you're going to come round by me, you're going to go round the long way, thinks Michael Schumacher, and he's absolutely right, but I'm sure it's only a matter of time before Hill does get by.
Williams fan will be praying that Damon doesn't try too hard and go off, because Schumacher is consistently closing the door. Now this again is Damon Hill's opportunities. They come up to the bus stop. Michael Schumacher is perfectly fairly holding on to his racing line. He's not doing anything wrong. He's in the lead. He can take whatever line he likes, provided he does not blatantly weave, and he's not doing that. This reminds me of the great Ayrton Senna, who had this same gift of being able to stay out on slick tyres on a wet track and still go darn nearly as quickly as he would have done on wets. Now, again, Damon Hill tries at La Source.
And the rain has stopped in front of us in the commentary box. The rain has stopped, and if that's the case around the remainder of the circuit, that's going to mean that Damon Hill's gamble is likely to fail, because as soon as the track starts to dry, if Schumacher can hold Hill off now when the track may be at its wettest, if it's no longer raining, then he will almost certainly start to pull out again over the next few laps, and Hill may well be forced to go back into the pits and return to slick tyres.
Remember Ayrton Senna and Nigel Mansell at Monaco. This is almost a replay of that. Now, is Hill going to get through? Yes! And Michael Schumacher runs wide, loses grip, goes over the grass. And I remember Nigel Mansell doing that at the same point in the Ferrari. But Williams fans should not shout and cheer too much, because if this track dries out, Schumacher could still be on the right tyres, and Damon Hill would have to come in and lose an absolute minimum of nearly 30 seconds changing from wet tyres to slicks. But at the present moment, we're on lap 24. Damon Hill leads, Schumacher is second. You can see the gap as over the gravel trap goes Luca Badoer in the Minardi.
Going back, a replay here of the time when Damon Hill did get by Michael Schumacher, as indeed he should have done. Schumacher brakes a little bit too late there. A bit of a mistake by Schumacher then. I think he should have conceived that place really rather more readily, because that was going to go in Hill's way, and he probably hasn't damaged his car by doing that. And we see what he does here. Bang, up over the verge, over the grass. Exactly what Johnny Herbert did, but without the spin, the same route.
Now this is a replay of the Minardi going off and making a good job of writing off the front wing.
Yes, that's a squabbling Minardi duo of Luco Badoa following his relatively new teammate Pedro Lamy.
As you watch Schumacher and Damon Hill in second position, with Schumacher through and into the lead, and Damon Hill really loses it coming out of the bus stop there. That is surprising, because Schumacher, you can see, is on those slick tyres. Hill has changed back to slicks. You see how long it took him. Schumacher is leading. Hill is still second, but a long way down now. And he's got to pray, from his point of view, that the weather conditions deteriorate in such a way that they will help him.
You can see the rain coming down. It's building up once again. Schumacher is lapping 10 seconds a lap slower than he was when certainly the track was dry. So there's 10 seconds worth of rain on the track, if you like, on the previous lap, and it's coming down harder now. It might just be that change from Damon Hill coming in off the wets back onto slicks was a bit premature. There is the safety car. The safety car is out because of the number of cars on slick tyres and the wet conditions. And what's going to happen now is that all the cars will now have to follow in formation behind that safety car. Once all the cars have done that, then the safety car will wave by every car until it is the leader, which is Michael Schumacher, who is directly following that safety car.
That's Ukko Katayama, who was actually in fourth position out of the race with no nose on the Tyrrell, and he's obviously suffered from the fact that he was on slick tyres on a wet track. There's the replay, and that's where Michael Schumacher went off yesterday, very much faster of course. Bang goes the nose, spin goes the car, out goes Katayama, up into fourth position goes Parnis.
And that was the right thing for Michael Schumacher to do there, to come into the pits and get his second refueling stop done, as we now look at Damon Hill. Damon Hill now changing back onto wet tyres. He was on slicks, no fuel going in, we know he had his last slug of fuel at the previous stop, but that was the right thing for Schumacher and Hill, because of course the pace car is going around slowly.
Part 2 on lap 32 in a 44-lap race as they exit the bus stop, and Damon Hill comes up alongside Roberto Moreno. Is Roberto going to give way and let the Williams through? Yes! So, almost together, the Benetton of world champion and world championship leader Michael Schumacher, as Moreno nearly loses it. Damon Hill is second. We have 12 laps to go, including the one that they are on. The battle is joined.
And that is Panis spinning round there in the Ligier. Panis spinning, he didn't hit anything. And you can see how appalling the visibility is there. We can see that he's right behind another car. I can't quite make out what it is as Panis there spins around. Just another replay of that spin.
We've just heard that Damon Hill has been given a 10-second penalty for going too fast in the pit lane. Charlie Whiting holding out the stop board. What about Martin Brundle? Martin Brundle will be going through into second position, I think, as Damon Hill exits the pit lane, and Michael Schumacher looking as though he has got everything cut and dried on lap 34 out of 44. And this looks like a spin car. That is Damon Hill spinning as he exits La Source. Good news for Rubens Barrichello, who, as you see, has just fought his way past Johnny Herbert up into sixth position. As you watch the battle between Blundell in the red and white McLaren Mercedes and Heinz-Harald Frentzen looking for another good points position, and again attacking. Going through.
Well, that's excellent driving from Frentzen there, because he had to make that outbraking manoeuvre on the wet, less grippy part of the track. It was Blundell who correctly kept to the line. Let's have another look. Look, Blundell's on the drier line. Frentzen is where there's more spray, and yet Frentzen comes out of the toe, comes up the inside, keeps control.
3 British drivers in the top 5. 4 British drivers in the top 7 because Johnny Herbert is 7th. And the order very quickly while you watch this battle is Schumacher, Brundle, Hill, Frentzen, Blundell, Barrichello. Herbert is 7th and Damon goes for it. But all Martin has to do as Michael Schumacher starts his last lap. There are only 4.3 miles less than that now between Michael Schumacher and victory in Belgium. But who is going to be second? I ask again. Martin Brundle got the inside line, he just calmly held it. Damon Hill goes wide, that's where Nigel Mansell always used to go right out wide. Now I think we are going to see second place taken by Damon Hill as they come out of Eau Rouge and make the climb towards Les Combes. And it will give us an indication of the comparative power of the Renault and Mugen engines.
Hill's got just 2 more chances to get by Martin Brundle. One is here, coming up the long straight. This is where we see most of the overtaking manoeuvres. Hill goes to the outside. Look at that superior power of the Renault over the Ligier there, with Hill taking the inside line. He had enough speed to drive up past Brundle and into second place. But Brundle really has driven magnificently there.
Out of the bus stop for the 44th and last time, a magnificent 16th career victory for Michael Schumacher, who starts 16th on the grid and superbly wins the Belgian Grand Prix again, further to extend his World Championship lead over Damon Hill, who's coming through now to finish in second place by 4 points to 15 points. Superlative performances by both of them, but you have to give the major credit to Michael Schumacher for a quite incredible drive as Martin Brundle finishes third, only 1.9 seconds ahead of Heinz-Harald Frentzen. So it's Benetton as Schumacher gets out of the car to take the plaudits of everyone so deservedly. Damon Hill, Michael Schumacher, Martin Brundle up on the podium for the first time for a very long time, undoubtedly to reinforce his claim for a top seat in 1996.
I knew it's going to be possible to drive certainly in the points and even probably on the rostrum, but to be first, no, I didn't believe this, particularly in the way it happened with the advantage I got in the end. No, I wasn't really thinking of that at all.